Hello everyone and welcome to Memory Flow, where we discuss fragrance and fragrance collecting, and today I am going to talk to you about two beauties that I got for Christmas. I'm so happy I finally got the chance to smell and to own Knize Ten finally. But before I get into that, let me give you my scent of the day, the scent that I worn today, because now it's evening and I'm fresh out of the shower. I always do that before I film. This is Arsène Lupin, the dandy version. This is such a nice surprise always when I wear it. By the way, you can still, this is discontinued now, but you can still sort of find it today in a new composition, a new reorchestration of Arsène Lupin, Dandy and Voyou together. They are now called Épices Volées into the new La Matière line. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful fragrance. Always a surprise. I don't wear this as often as I should. It's very rich in olibanum, very incensey, although it's not smoky, very syrupy, very deep, and very spicy, of course. So, Knize Ten. This will be a first impressions video because I don't know these fragrances all that well. To be honest, I did wear this once, and I tested both of them before on the skin, but I'm not ready for a full review because I don't know them yet all that well. But this will be sort of a first impressions video, a sort of a let's smell, let's get to know it. So if you want to know more about this brand, this Knize Company, I guess it's called Knize, what's it called? Yeah, the Knize Company. Founded, established in 1858 in Vienna. This is indeed an Austrian company. It comes from the 19th century. So if you want to know more about this, I've read a very compelling article, which you can, I will link it in the description below, done by the Gentleman's Gazette, which is a wonderful blog, and also they have YouTube channel, lots of great tips. I've been watching them for years now. They're so good. But in short, in a nutshell, they are a haberdashery. They are tailors. They make. They're famous for men's tailored suits. But they also make fragrances, so their fragrance history begins in the 20s. I think this might just be their first fragrance, Knize Ten. I'm not sure about that. They don't have many fragrances. They have a few. I'm also curious about Knize Forest. Also, the correct name, the correct way to pronounce this brand's name is Knize, because this term Knize actually comes from Czech. It comes from the Czech language, and it means a sort of a leader. It means either a prince or a duke or something in between. It's more closer, I think it's closer to a duke than to a prince, but I guess it could work either way. Also, ever since I got into this hobby, I kept hearing about Knize Ten everywhere, and I don't know where specifically, but just mostly everywhere. Everybody is talking about. So if you want a good leather fragrance, if you want a piece of history, you should smell Knize Ten. And I did, and let's see if that's true. So as I told you before, I already know how this smells. I've already worn it. It's such a beautiful fragrance. It is. I love it. I love it to death. I went for the 50 milliliter variant because I wasn't sure. I wasn't going to go for the full size bottle because I wasn't sure I was going to like it. But yeah, this, by the way, this is about availability. I don't know. In my country, it's not readily available. I had to call on a favor to a dear friend who actually lives in Germany, and I had it delivered to her place. Gosh, I don't know where to begin. It's such a complex fragrance. So of course, let's get this out of the way. This is a huge leather fragrance. As you know, I'm a huge leather fan. I love leather and perfumery. I love it, I love it, I love it. And this is indeed a big leather. Now, I've smelled lots and lots of leather fragrances, and indeed this does have similarities to quite many leather fragrances out there, but it's also it also kind of does its own thing. It's quite unique up to a point. So this is a very well-rounded fragrance. This is very powerful. First of all, when you first smell it, it's a kick in the head. This is a powerful kick in the head because it's very aldehydic. It's quite sharp, and it's kind of built like a classic eau de cologne. This comes from the 1920s, so this was done by François Coty, yeah, and you can kind of tell this does have this turn of the century vibe. So it's very powerful, it's very aldehydic, it's very sharp, it's very pungent, and once you can smell just from the beginning, there's a lot of greenery in this. So the note list is quite extensive. I'm not sure we should go through it all. There's because even if I were to cite, you can totally check the note list by yourself on. I'm reading this off of Fragrantica, but there's nothing out of the whole list of notes. There's nothing I can quite identify or pick up other than the leather, because what this fragrance does, and this is something I very much like about this fragrance, is it feels like a whole. It feels like something more than the sum of its parts. So there are a lot of flowers in this. There is some geranium, there's carnation, which comes with woody tones. There's rose in this, but you're not, I don't know, but I am not able to pick this up. But what I am able to pick up is muted flowery tones. This is not a flowery fragrance by any shape or form, but it is interesting what it does. So the flowers and the greenery sort of create a fruity aspect, and this is quite interesting. And I'm not talking about citrus, because it does have a lot of citrus. This is a citrusy fragrance, but what it kind of creates is an impression of maybe a green apple berry vibe, which is very interesting. And this is very prominent in the opening and in the first, half hour of the fragrance. I should probably wear it on the skin. I should do this. It has that Chypre architecture, of course. There's a lot of patchouli in this. There's oak moss. There's an ambery undertone to it. There's also lots of animalics. But what it kind of does, it's a very contrasting fragrance. That's what it is. It's a lot of build up for that leather. This means that it's quite sharp in the beginning, and it kind of settles into this warm, leathery embrace. Now, as a chypre, the leather, so the main note in this, the main aspect of this is, of course, the leather. And we will talk about the leather in a minute, because I know you're all curious about the leather. But the leather is, so there's something common to most leather fragrances. And the leather kind of needs to be treated with something. There's another smell to this leather, and what they treated this leather with is quite complex. One of the things are, of course, the greeneries. This is very vegetal, on the point of being fresh, but not quite. It's also, it has that fruity smell, which I don't know for the life of me where it comes from. I suspect it comes from this combination of greenery and the flowers. I don't know, but it's quite interesting. It's a beautiful, you know, when you it's similar to that raspberry note in Tuscan leather, because in my opinion, that's what makes that perfume, that raspberry top note. It's such a beautiful juxtaposition with that leather, and it's sort of the same thing here. It's a very fruity smell. Yeah. So what they treated it with, besides all that, is a beautiful orris note, which is papery, powdery. This is a powdery perfume, and it's dusty. It's definitely old school. It has that vintage feel, and this orris is also what makes this leather very, very soft. So now the leather. Well, the leather is very animalic. It's very bitter. It's quite clear. It has that woody tar. It's that bitter woody tar vibe, which is very good. This is very good. I'm at a loss for words. A very interesting thing about this. The way this leather is done is another contrast, because this leather comes across as a very powerful, very harsh, very deep, very bitter, very dark, very smoky. But it's also, because of that orris, it's also very refined, very silky. And because of that sweet ambery tone, it's just refined. It's just, this is a gentleman's leather. This is not a heavy cuir de Russie type of leather. This isn't something that's it's quite easy to wear from this regard, but it's also quite animalic. And I'm pretty sure this is a current formulation. This is in no way a vintage, but I'm pretty sure the animalics have been toned down in this. I wish I could smell a vintage version of this, but alas, this way I think it's in this current formulation. I think it's very wearable, and it's very interesting. So yeah, this was my first impression of Knize 10. Now on to the smaller, it's a tinier brother, the golden edition. This was a fragrance launched in the 2000s. This is not that old. This is much more recent. This is a 15 milliliter bottle. It doesn't have an atomizer, so I think I will have to dip the. Hope this fits. I will have to dip the blotter in. I always wanted to do that. So this is a beautiful surprise. This was a beautiful surprise to me. This feels way more sweet. It feels even more, so it's not as vegetal as, first of all, they're very similar, but you can still tell they are quite different fragrances. So it's sort of a flanker, I guess. By the way, this was done as a 75-year anniversary for Knize Ten. I don't know if I said this, but 10 comes from something related to the game of polo, which I don't know anything about, so yeah. So the golden edition, I'm so glad. I was on the fence if I was going to buy this, but I guess I don't regret this at all, because now I know. What they did with this is sort of they reorchestrated the composition of Knize Ten, and what they did is the result is it feels even more vintage than the original. I don't know how they did that. It has that. So if you like this fragrance and would like a barbershop-y, even more masculine twist, if you can call it that, then Knize Gold, Knize Golden Edition is it might be for you. This is less green. It's even more geranium, because it's even more bitter. The leather is, I don't want to say toned down, because it's not. The leather is as powerful as in the original, but it's just, it feels like it's seconded. It's in the background, maybe. It's more rounded. It's I see an iris note in this, but it's still that dusty, papery orris, which is so beautiful. This also needs to be worn on the skin. Why not? It feels like the same fragrance, but only turned on its head. I guess it's more citrusy, but it's also more bitter. It's also it's deeper. It's darker, and that barber-shoppy feel comes also with a bit of tonka vibe, although I don't see any tonka in this. There's something almondy. It's also very spicy. It's spicier than the original. So it's just beautiful. Now, will I be purchasing a full bottle of this? I don't know. First of all, I will have to I want to explore more from this house. I want to maybe try Forest. I'm also curious, maybe I could find Belle Epoque or Lady Knize, which is a fragrance marketed to women. By the way, the price point for this is €1 per milliliter, so this 50 milliliter cost somewhere around €50, and the 15 milliliter one was I guess I think I paid €13 for these, so these are quite cheap. The lasting power for these are just insane. They last for a full day on my skin, which is so good, and they project. The projection is insane for this. What it feels like, this golden edition, it kind of feels less complex than I don't know why it feels less complex, but also it feels clearer. It's definitely so. The original is powdery. This one is clear. It's sharper. It's more angular. But it is a beautiful scent. So there you have it. These were my first impressions of these two beautiful fragrances, Knize Ten and Knize Ten Golden Edition. My honest opinion is I would skip the Golden Edition. If you don't know what these fragrances smell like, you should always go for this one first. And if you happen to like this one, give this a try. This is interesting. It's beautiful, but I don't think it's a must-have. Definitely not a must-have. But it's nice. It's interesting to get to know. But this one is just gorgeous. It's beautiful, leathery, powdery, refinement. It's a gentleman's must-have. And yeah, it's also because of the powdery notes and the flowery, fruity flowery notes. I think it's very much unisex. I think it can be worn by anyone who wants to wear this. So yeah, give this a try if you're able to find it. And if you have any more questions regarding these two fragrances, you can tell me in the comments below. If you know and have an opinion about these fragrances, also let me know, because I'm curious what you think. And until next time, remember, fragrance creates memories, and may yours be happy.